friends, how are you? I'm Michelle and this is my channel, Penny's Daughter Shares, where I talk primarily about cross stitch, and that will be the majority of the subject and all things related this time, although I do have one very big share, an accomplishment, and it is not stitching related, so we will get to that. For anyone who's new here, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. If you've been here before, I appreciate you coming back. And for anyone who hasn't already, please like and subscribe the video below. And you may also hit the bell and get notifications when I do upload new videos. So I have lots and lots and lots to share with you today. I'll give a quick life update. Construction continues, although we are getting closer to getting finished. And summer is off to a sort of racing start. The first thing that's up on my actual Flosstube talk is going to Country Samplers Stitch Camp. So I did that, which was during the week right after the kids got out of school. And then the following week was what felt like the never-ending week of appointments and appointments and appointments. Things I was just trying to get done, get out of the way so we didn't have to worry about them for the summer. And then the past week has actually been pretty quiet, which is nice. And we got a chance to just chill out, and I got a chance to work on some things. So that, of course, brings me lots of joy. So like I said, I think I'll start with Country Sampler. Gosh, I'm having trouble finding the words already, and I just started talking. Country Sampler Stitch Camp. We'll start with that. First of all, I had such a great time. I met so many new people. It's many people that came up to me just because they wanted to meet me. And that, I can't even put it into words. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that did do that you came up to me and introduced yourself to me. I appreciate it so much because I don't necessarily know who you are. And I'm not going to go through names because I know I'll forget somebody and I will feel horrible if I do that. So that I just want anyone that talked to me, we took pictures, I met, thank you. And thank you for making my camp so much fun this time. Had a great table of ladies that we ended up grouping together, and it was fun. And so I'm sure you've seen other Flosstubes that have shown a lot of the camp wrap-ups and discussions. So I don't want to spend a lot of time in detail. So what I am going to do is, besides saying thank you to everyone that I saw while I was there, is just to kind of show you the projects we got. And then I'll show you what some of my purchases were. And I'm going to be fairly quick about it. Because like I said, I think you've probably seen some of this stuff already, and whoever showed it to you so far probably did a much better job than I did, or I could. So if you want to see some really good pictures, you could definitely go over to Instagram, sgcountrysampler. That's Country Samplers Instagram, and I know they loaded up a load of pictures of the designers and the projects and everything. So that'll give you even more details. or in better pictures of the finished projects. So it was Alma from Blackbird Designs. It was Kimberly from Samplers Not Forgotten. And it was Stacy from Stacy Nash. And they all brought us awesome, awesome projects. I'm very excited to stitch them and just trying to figure out when I'm going to start. So I'm going to just go in order of when they presented. That seems easy enough to organize. And so at our sort of class with Alma and Blackbird Designs, we got 2 projects. The first one is this one, which is Every Bloom is Charmed. And you can see it's finished on that basket, and I'll show you the basket here in just a second. So we got the basket, we got fabric, and all the flosses that we need to stitch this. And this project, which is a drum, and it's called the Morning Bird. If you can't see that, it's really cute. And see the bird cage in the back? That we also got to finish the drum in. And like I said, go over to Country Samplers Instagram and you can see that put together and how it looks, which is super cool. So here's the basket for Every Bloom is Charmed. So that's really awesome. And then here's the cute little bird cage. I don't know if you can see it. So it opens, obviously. You put the drum in there. So yeah, so those were from Blackbird Designs class. And then she had an exclusive kit that we could also purchase from Country Sampler while we were there. And this is called With Wing Unspent. And it has the linen and floss to get it stitched up. And I think that's really pretty too. And they all coordinate together, which is really nice. Okay, so that was Blackbird Designs projects. Our next presenter was Kimberly from Samplers Not Forgotten. And we got this great, big, beautiful sampler to stitch called Lenten Rose. And I am going to try to hold that a little closer so you can see it a little better. There you go. And we got a huge piece of fabric and all the flosses to stitch this. The picture's a little deceiving. It doesn't show quite how big it is, although there's a lot of open space in it. Let me see if I can find the stitch count. It's 298 wide by 366 high. So it's a big girl and I love it. Let me see if I can quickly show you the flosses. And I say quickly, I'm not going that quickly, am I? But if you can see those really beautiful colors, these are so my colors. So we got that sampler, and then she also gave us the chart for the companion piece, the Lenten Rose Drum Kit. And so you can make the little fob and the drum, and she showed us how we have plenty of fabric and should have plenty of floss in our sampler kit to make this too. And obviously they coordinate. And like I'll say one more time, if you go over to Country Samplers Instagram, you will see great pictures of these things. And then she also had an exclusive available for us to purchase, and it's called the Bees Delight Kit. And this actually has everything in it, all the floss, the trim, the backing fabric, and the linen to stitch this up and make this. I just think that is so pretty. So I can't wait to stitch that up. Oh, and there's a charm there too. I just am realizing it. Okay. And then our third presenter was Stacy Nash, and her pattern is this one. And I'm gonna have to hold it back so I can read it to you. Patchwork Farm Sewing Pouch and Pin Keeps. So there's the sewing pouch, and then there's two different pin keeps that are part of this whole chart. And then all of her stuff for making those came in this cool little box, and it was wrapped with a bow too, but obviously I don't have the bow on it anymore. But then we have, like, we even have stuffing for finishing the pin keeps and everything in that kit. And then she did not have an extra sort of kit for us to purchase that she had designed. But I will have something else that I can show you from her in a little, well, with my purchases. So let's talk collection enhancement, collection additions, purchases while I was at Stitch Camp. The first thing I picked up at Country Sampler was this awesome dough bowl. I love, it's so shallow and it's this huge long tray, but how awesome is that going to be to fill up with stuff? I need to get to work on some more projects in order to fill this up, but I just thought it was so awesome. So I picked that up, and then let's see. I told you I had something else to share with you from Stacy Nash. So this is the fourth and final pin keep drum kit from the Country Sampler Girls Club, and it's autumn, and the picture doesn't do it justice, of course, but it's so beautiful. It has all these oak leaves and stuff around the perimeter of it. So I was able to pick that up while I was there, so it didn't have to get shipped. And then I got a collection of some different colors of velveteen for finishing. I've been wanting some, and it's not always easy to pick this stuff out online. So I just picked up some good, I don't want to call them basic colors, but colors that I'm pretty sure I could use at some point or another. And then I fell in love with this because look at how big it is. Oh, here's my finger. Does that help? And does it tell me? Oh, it's 1 inch rickrack. There you go. But the color is really fun, and it's just so wide. It's just a really big rickrack. So I picked that up. And then, let's see. I grabbed, this is the fabric and floss needed for United We Stand from Blackbird Designs, the pin cushion. So I already had the book, but I picked up the kit, and I picked up a couple other sort of finished some kits. And then let's see, what charts did I get? Oh yes, I picked up Garden of Stitches from Samplers Not Forgotten, and you can't probably tell from the picture, it is full of fancy stitches. And if you remember when I did the Jeanette Douglas pillows, like those two here, and I had so much fun with those fancy stitches, and I saw the sample of this all stitched up, and it's beautiful. So I've actually I'm working on kitting this up too, so then I can start it when I'm ready. And let's see. I bought a few Blackbird charts that most of you are familiar with, so I won't belabor it. Away We Ride, All Joys for Thine, and Lydia R. Cohagen. So these have all been released fairly recently or re-released, and just things that I wanted to get in my collection. And then I also picked up this Quaker Bluebird sampler from Willow Hill Samplings, and the picture does not do it justice. I saw it stitched in the model hanging up in Country Sampler, and I was like, where do I find that chart? Because I just liked it so much. Let's see, what does it tell me to use? Oh, Gentle Arts Blackboard, which is a really dark blue. I know it says it's a Bluebird sampler, but I will probably stitch it using more of a black shade, or like a black brown. So let's see. Oh, and then one more little kit here, which is, the kit doesn't tell you a whole lot, does it? Isn't it cute? I have the chart right here. So I had this book already here at home. This is from my Dear Hearts Blackbird Designs, and it is the kit so that I can make this little heart pin cushion, and what is it called? Sweetheart pin cushion. So I picked that up because of it with the red fabric and everything. I just thought it would be so fun. And that represents, at least in a felt very fast to me, way of what I purchased over, I don't know how many times was I in the store, 2 or 3. Anyway, then there was some of us that were talking, and I had sort of heard of this shop before, but didn't really know about it. And then they talked about it more while we were at Stitch Camp, and it's called Lynn's of Madison. And just so happened we figured out that when we were going to drive home, because Jeff went with me, and we decided to drive home on Saturday about lunchtime, I think we took off, that we could, it was literally, we just had to get off the freeway out of our way of driving home. So then I got some time in there and had a lot of fun. It's a much different shop than Country Sampler, and they do framing there. I wish that they were close to me because the framing, their samples that they had hanging up were just beautiful. So, and then they just have like bins of charts, but they're sorted by designer. And so it almost feels like a treasure hunt a little bit. I don't know. It was kind of fun to just kind of look through some things. And some things I picked up aren't that unique necessarily, but I have been wanting to get this. And so I picked up Float from Plum Street Samplers, and they did not have Sting from Heartstring Samplery, which is the companion piece to this. Oh yeah, here. But I have ordered that. So, and then I want to stitch the two of them together. I think it's lovely, and I love the saying on it. So, and then I found this from Lottie Da, Lovely Letters. And so it's all these fancy monograms. And I think that would be really fun to have and be able to do some projects with once in a while, or whatever, you know what I mean, right? Just be able to put together sort of monogram type things. And then I found this Long May She Wave from Blackbird Designs. And it's an American flag, but has a couple of extra little fancier stitching there for the stars. And so I thought that was kind of a great one to have in the collection. Oh, this is kind of embarrassing. I forgot I bought this and it's awesome. First, I found One Nation from Bygone Stitches, and I've admired this many times when I see it, people stitching it and everything. So I'm really excited to have that in my collection. When I'll stitch it, I don't know, because I have a couple other big flag things kind of started and going on. And then this is the one, I don't know if I've ever seen this before, but I fell in love with it. So it's Poinsettia Manor from Samplers Not Forgotten. And I love the house and the snowmen and the border. It's so cute. So I did a fair amount of damage there in Lynn's of Madison on our way home. And definitely, you know, when I get chances to go back in that direction, I will for sure, whenever I'm close enough, I would definitely be stopping at both places. For sure, for sure. So that, I feel like I have so much to share about camp, and I don't know how long to talk about it. So, and I feel like I went through that really fast, but then I look at the timer that's running with my video and maybe I talked fast. I don't know. So we will call that a wrap on Country Sampler Stitch Camp and my road trip with Jeff. Let's talk some FFOs. Up first is actually a start, a finish, and a fully finished object since I last talked to you. Here is the chart picture. It is Not My Pasture from dirtyanniex. And I've had this little chart for a little while. Bought it sort of tongue-in-cheek for Jeff. He thought it would be fun to have on his desk in his office. And so then he received a watch, and it came in this wooden hinged box. And when I saw this box, it really inspired me and reminded me of this cute little chart that I had. And I said to him, oh, I could stitch that up and the original plan was to mount it to the top of the box here. And we changed our mind because I figured out it fit on the inside. Now what he's thinking is that he will sit this on his desk open and he can set his phone inside there. It's what he decides he wants to do with it. But so that's my fully finished piece. And for right now, this is stuck to this lid with a couple pieces of Scotch tape. And then I can take it out and mount it to the top of the box if he changes his mind. So for now, this is the full finish. To tell you how I stitched this up is, let's see, I used, I don't have my fabric written down. I always write it down. All right. It is 28 count. I do know that. And it is Picture This Plus. Vellum is the name, the color name. Wow, it came to me. That's pretty amazing. So anyway, 28 count vellum by Picture This Plus. That means that I used 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads to stitch this. And if you look at the chart picture and my full finish here, you can see I changed every color. And that's the main reason for doing that is, I've told you this all before, so I don't want to say I'm sorry for repeating it, but for anyone who's new, let me explain that Jeff and I both grew up on farms. We both had Holstein cattle on our farms. His were dairy, mine were beef. And so I wanted it black and white, not brown and white. Now, pretty much none of our cattle had horns either. So, you know, hey, we're using creative discretion. I don't know. So, and then Jeff's favorite colors are black and red. And so I just darkened up sort of the red hearts. And then for the words, I picked up Weeks Dye Works Bark because I just thought it would be a really great color. I don't know. I really am happy with how it turned out. I just sort of pulled stuff and put it together and stitched it up. And then I did, what do I want to call those? It's almost a satin stitch around the border of it and I didn't back this stitch with any interfacing. I just sewed it with that satin stitch. We'll call it satin stitch. Again, I'm using creative discretion here. Creative liberties. I don't know. What's the right phrase? I'm not sure. You're probably laughing at me right now. So, anyway, I sewed it to a piece of just inexpensive craft felt. You know, I like to use that just to give it a little stability. And like I said, right now I have a couple pieces of Scotch tape holding that on, and I could pull it right out and put it on, mount it to the top if he wants me to. So we'll see what he decides on that. But yeah, so that is, and if you really wanted all of my exact color conversion, I'm more than happy to help, or more than happy to share it with you. Either send me a direct message on Instagram or send me an email it's pennysdaughtershares@gmail.com. And I will happily share that with you. But yeah, I just love how this turned out. And I never do this. Like, just get stuff and just put it together and start stitching it and get it all done. So I'm kind of proud of this because I did it in a fairly quick fashion. To be honest, it's probably sat on my cutting table longer while I was waiting for Jeff to decide if he wanted it on the inside or mounted on the top. It's been there for several days. And finally, I realized I could make it very temporary and he could test it out and then make a decision. So yeah, so that is Not My Pasture from dirtyanniex. This is my not stitchy related FFO. And here is a chart picture. Here I go again with that creative discretion and descriptions. It is the Moda Stitch Pink quilt. I believe this was a quilt along in October of 2020. I did not purchase it until the summer of 2021 in celebration of my oncologist telling me that I was cured, and decided I was going to make this. And Oh boy, if I had realized what I was biting off when I chose this, I wouldn't have chosen it. I'm so beyond thrilled with it. Like, I just stare at it in amazement now that I've finished it. But the process of actually sewing it, it was so challenging. And while that's a great representation of going through breast cancer and coming out the other side to be able to someone to tell you that you're cured, I don't think I needed quite such a representation in my project. So, anyway, like I said, I am beyond thrilled with it. And before I show you everything else, so I bought my kit from Fat Quarter Shop. You can see their symbol right there. I don't know if these kits even still exist or not, but I do know you can find all the patterns, instructions, directions for making each of the blocks in this sampler quilt. Honestly, I think this is one of the reasons I haven't filmed a Flosstube and why it's taken me this long since coming back from camp and from finishing this to get this filmed, because I was like, how am I going to show my quilt? I didn't know. So I'm hoping that as I'm babbling on and on, that there is a picture up there, and I'm going to talk a little more about it. So I already told you. So it is using BasicGrey Grunge Basics is the basis of the quilt fabrics in all different shades of pink, obviously. And then, like I said, and I will try to link the blog posts. I think it's on Moda, if I remember right, moda.com. The blog posts for each of the blocks. If you're interested, it'll be down in the description box, so that if you want to make any or all of these blocks for yourself, you can. Let's see, I started it, I want to say I started this quilt in October of 2021, or maybe it was September, and I did one block, and then I decided to cut the whole thing, and it took me a really long time to cut all the blocks. And then I was, I don't know, tired of it, frustrated, I'm not sure, feeling overwhelmed with the challenge of it maybe. And so it got put in a drawer. And then I have to think of the years, in 2022 for March Madness, it was one of my projects in March Madness, and all I wanted to do during that time, was to get all the blocks done, you know. And this was up again, you know, come on, in half a month. But anyway, what ended up happening, it did not win sort of its bracket. I don't even think it won its first bracket. I'd have to go back and look. But I had it out and I had started working on it, and I decided during that month I was gonna just try to finish it anyway, in addition to whatever else was going on with March Madness. And I did finish the blocks for March Madness. So I was very excited about that. And then I'm trying to remember when I pulled it back out. Did I pull it out this year in March Madness? I would have to go back and look, and I can't remember. Anyway, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I I don't think I did because I did March Madness differently. So once I got through March Madness though, I made a decision with this whole FFO Challenge 2023 thing that I would pull this out, and I'm pretty sure I got encouragement from Jen from Two Tall Stitchers, jenquilter on Instagram, to pull it out and let's start putting it together. And I do remember in April working really hard at getting the quilt top done, and I was trying to finish it before Jeff was done with busy season. Do you remember that too? And I did. I got the top done, which I shared with you at some point, somewhere around in that time frame. And then it got folded up and put in a drawer again. And then I went through Mania, and I think that, I didn't get to move forward with it more because, again, it was another challenge. I have not ever taken a quilt top to someone to have it machine quilted for me. So I didn't know who to take it to. I didn't know if it was someone close or not, or how much it was going to cost. I didn't know anything. So again, I'm going to say thank you to Jen for helping me, because we were talking about plans for June toward the end of May after Mania wrapped up, and what kind of our FFO plans were for the month of June. And she suggested, because I was talking about that I really wanted to get this out, I really want to get it done, but I was feeling sort of stuck at the time, and she encouraged me. We made a goal together, she helped me, that all I was going to do was find someone to machine quilt it for me. Just get that and hopefully get it like scheduled and lined up. That's all I had to do for the month of June. Well, I feel like I ran into sort of a streak of luck. I found someone who actually is quite local to me, and she was absolutely wonderful. Talked to me on the phone about it, and was able to, because I was talking to her in very early June, that if I got it to her, she was going to have it back to me within 3 weeks because of her current quilting schedule. So I got it back, quilted on the day she said I was going to get it. And gosh, I hope my picture of my quilt is up here this whole time I'm talking about this. And we picked it up, brought it home, and once it was here, it was like, all right, let's get this binding done. Well, I don't know if you can see very well in the picture. I did a scrappy binding, so I used different pieces of the pinks in the quilt. I'm so happy I did that. It took extra work. And I spent, essentially, it took me 2 full days to get the binding all done. By the time I machine stitched it on the first round and then flipping it over, and I hand stitched it because I couldn't, because of it being a scrappy binding, I couldn't really choose a thread color that just blended with all of the binding color, and I didn't want that to stand out too much. Oh my goodness. So I spent almost a whole entire day hand sewing the binding. I'm slow, I'm sure of it, but it is what it is. It's done now and it's amazing. And I get to look at it as my celebratory item. And I don't know, I'm going to try to show you kind of the whole, not the whole thing, because I can't, it's too big. But see how pretty it is? And I don't know, like hopefully you can see some of the quilting that she did. It has some hearts in it. You can see there. And just some swirls and hearts and she thought, her and I agreed that sort of the swirly round machine quilting offset all of the geometric, very straight lines and corners of the quilt itself. And I originally thought that I wanted to have it custom quilted, and this lovely, lovely lady, she talked me out of that and said, how about all over quilting? Because then your piecing is what stands out. And hopefully from the picture that I showed you, you can see that you could see, that's what you see. Sorry, it was probably muffled. But I don't, and now what am I going to do with it? I think I'm going to hang it up here in my craft room. It was so much work. I just don't know if I want to use it and risk anything happening to it. Oh, and then the one thing you haven't seen is what I chose for the back. So it's a BasicGrey grunge. I can never remember the name of it. It's called something. Obviously it's polka dotted. It'll probably come to me, you know, when I'm about to go to sleep tonight. Anyway, I just thought it was fun, and it was an extra wide back, so no seams on the back. But yeah, and here's my hand stitching of my binding for anyone that would like to see, because I would like to show that off to everyone. It was a lot of work. But yeah, so that is my cured celebration quilt. I have another FFO, and this one actually, again, is a start, a finish, and a fully finished object since I last talked to you. I blame Liz from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch for this, and I know there's others that have done this also, but I just couldn't, she was the one that made me do it because I saw it on her Flosstube that she was working on it. So what it is, and I'm going to be able to show you the chart. I'm trying to see how I can do this. We'll do it like this. So this is a freebie chart. It is from Teresa Kogut, and it is Create Every Day. And I will try to remember to link it for you down below in my description box. It is on the Fat Quarter website, and if you go there and type in their search, you know, Create Every Day or Teresa Kogut Create, and it'll pop up for you. Excuse me. Now, it's not originally charted for rainbow colors, which is what Liz inspired me with, but I saw hers and I was like, yes, I want that in my craft room just as a reminder, and it looked like so fun to stitch. And I came up with my own sort of color combo, and enough of that. Here is the full finish. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. And I had so much fun making it. From choosing my flosses to actually stitching it, and I couldn't put it down. Even the full finishing part wasn't so bad this time. I had fun with sort of the details of it. So how did I stitch this up? It is on 40 count. Sorry, let me look here. 40 count Alcott from Needle and Flax. And so that means I've stitched this one floss thread over 2 linen threads. And I chose my own palette of rainbow colors and used, if you want to know the exact colors that I used, that is on my Instagram. I have a post and there's a picture of the flosses laid out in this partially stitched or fully stitched, I can't remember. But anyway, and then the pink shade that I used for the X's down here, I also used for the thread in my needle. And then I just, once I stitched it, I laced it onto a piece of batting covered sticky board, and then I added, just hand stitched on this trim that I had in my collection that I've had for 100 million years, it feels like, and I've looked at it a million times, I know. And this is a perfect spot for it, so it doesn't take away from the stitching. And my charm and pin was actually something that I got at Country Sampler Stitch Camp from someone that was there. So I thought that was really fun to use. And then I just decided that adding a penny charm would be fun, because that is one of the reasons that I create every day and where I find my joy. So just felt like that needed to be added. And then the measuring tape twill, ribbon, twill, trim, I don't know what to call it, is perfect for this, because you're creating every day. Again, just things came together. And then this backing piece, okay, I did not remember this backing piece when I picked out my colors to stitch with. Like, how does this happen? I don't know, but it's awesome. This backing piece was actually something I found at Kohl's on like super clearance. I want to say I paid maybe $2.50 for it. And it had this clip on it and the rainbow painting. And then it's hard for you to see while I'm holding it, but it sits right here, just like a block, because it's pretty thick. And then the sides of it, though, were covered in gold glitter that was getting everywhere. And I don't know if all of you know how much I despise the mess of glitter, or just mess. So my lovely husband sanded it off. So there's a couple, I don't know, can you see? There's a little few flecks there, but anyway, I think I went looking in my finished object, or my, finished pieces in my inventory, and saw this and said, that will be perfect. And so when I fully finished this part, I could use the measurements so that it worked really well on this piece. So that is Create Every Day from Teresa Kogut. And I think I shared all the details. I'm just thrilled with it. And I've heard from a lot of you that are inspired to pick it up and stitch it for yourselves. And I would absolutely encourage that, because it was so much fun. And just, do you stitch some things that just feel like they bring you so much joy? This was one of them for me. And it was just something simple. And again, I never do this. I never just pick things up and just go, oh, let me see what I have in my leftover flosses to put together that I love. But I love rainbows, and it's just, I don't know. So fun. Let's do my fourth and final FFO of this video. And this one is actually an older stitch for me, or yeah, it wasn't a finish in an FFO this time. I actually finished stitching this about a year ago. It is hands-on design, knee-high, and I fell in love with it originally because of the saying on it, knee-high by the 4th of July, and I can remember clear as day hearing my dad say that every year, pretty much. And probably there were some years that there was some fret in his voice, some worry, because maybe things weren't knee-high yet, and they should be. So it's just the memory of it, I guess, is what really, and then I love the chart itself, the American flag quilt and everything. I just love it. So here is my full finish. I stitched this on 28 count vintage country mocha, which means I used 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And I used all called for colors on this one. And let's see, did I already say I finished stitching it about a year ago? And finally have it framed. And I love it so much. Why did it sit in a drawer for so long? Oh my. I'm working on it. Working very diligently on getting these FFOs done. I picked up this frame. I think they called it a barnwood frame at Hobby Lobby. And I think it is perfection for the style of it to go with this particular stitch. And then also it's just an 8x10 frame. And could I have ordered a custom frame to be a more perfect size? I don't think so. To frame this up, I did lacing like I always do. And then I used sticky board. I put a piece of batting that I stick to the adhesive on the sticky board, and then I lace my piece over it and get it all good and straight and tight and pop it in the frame. No glass. And especially because this is probably going to be seasonal, and I don't know, we'll see. But I talked before about how I was having that debate on the glass. And I don't know if you can hear it. It is downpour outside my window right now, which is a good thing. Knee-high by the 4th of July. I need some rain. Anyway, let's see. Did I share all the details? I told you the fabric. I told you the stitching or the flosses. What I used to finish it. Yeah. So this is number, I'm just looking at my notes over there. This is number 45 FFOs for the year so far. As a reminder, my original goal was 24, 2 per month. Although my list had, I think, my priority list had 33 on it. So I've even surpassed that. Although there's still a few items on the priority list that aren't done yet. And I've done other things, but that's okay. That was my plan, and plans can change. And I'm gonna be okay with that. So yeah, number 45 for the FFO Challenge 2023. All right, let's talk some whips. Now, this is a much smaller amount of work that I'm going to show, given the fact that I had 2 projects that I went from start to FFO since I last spoke with you. Plus, I did that great big quilt FFO for my cured celebration quilt. So, let's jump in. And I'll show you what I do have. Up first is Penny Spring from Plum Street Samplers, and I only worked on this a little bit after I filmed last Flosstube, and I don't remember where I left off when I showed you last, but I don't think I did a whole lot on it. Here is where I'm at. And like I said, I cannot remember where I left off last time. So let's just talk. This is my work in progress, and this is where my current point is. I am stitching this on 40 count from xjudesign, and it's from her Sampler Neutral Club February 2023. So I don't have like a color name for it, but I love the pink tone of it with this particular stitch. I am using all called for flosses except for the white of the house. I substituted Classic Colorworks antique lace just to have a little slight different white tone than what was called for. Also, that's the white of the house in Penny Autumn, and so I thought that would be a fun way to kind of have continuity between the two charts. So that's where I'm at. And since it's 40 count fabric, that means I'm stitching 1 floss thread over 2 linen threads. And when I last talked to you, I had thought that I would have a finish on this by the end of June. And since it's now July, clearly that didn't happen. And that's just how it goes, because, right, we get different moods and decide on stitching on other things. So I don't know what my plan is with that one. So we'll just leave it at that. It's a whip, and will continue to be until I finish it. How about that? My next project is the only thing that I put any stitches in at all while I was at Stitch Camp or during that trip. And to be honest with you, I did very little stitching over that whole period of time, which between driving there and driving back home, and then I'm trying to remember, I did something else. I think just catching up with the kids, to be honest. I don't think I did. This was the only thing I stitched on for like a whole week. And there was a couple of days that I did no stitching at all. So it might have been catching up laundry after we got back. I don't know. Here it is. The chart picture. It's Teresa Kogut, Star Quilt. And I just love this. I love the colors, and I call it a comfort stitch because of the colors and the fabric I'm using and just the pattern of it, because it's just a repeat over and over again, which is wonderful and comforting. So I do know my progress on this. I did this block of a star. So 3 colors. And I know I stitched the star itself last, and I finished that up when I got back home. And because I need to be able to put it away at sort of an even spot. Like I couldn't leave the star only partway done. Like I said, called for colors. I'm stitching this on 28 count like natural or flax cashel linen, and that means I'm using 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And I continue to love the colors and love how it looks and love stitching on it. What my plan is for finishing this one, same sort of thing. I don't have a specific plan. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. We'll just leave it at that. It's a whip. I'll just continue to enjoy it. The third whip I want to share with you today is out of this issue of Cross Stitching Country Crafts. It is the July-August 1992 issue, and I think you can see there it's a Better Homes and Gardens magazine. And here is the picture of it. It's called Bouquet of Sunshine. And just to sort of answer a few questions, because I've gotten several on this particular thing. Where did I find my chart, or how can I get it, or those are the questions. I bought mine on eBay. It's been a little while since I got it, but I found it listed on eBay. It was part of another grouping of magazines, all the same magazine but different issues, and it wasn't very expensive. And as far as I understand it, you can still find them out there on eBay. It just may not be the individual issue of the magazine is all. So just make sure and look for that it would be in a grouping of magazines listed. The other place you can find it is, there's a book that I think was put out with this sort of magazine title, 101 Best Loved Designs, I think it's called. And this chart picture is actually one of the pictures on the front cover of it. That's harder to find is how I understand it. It's also more expensive, but it also has a whole lot more charts in it. So those are the two ways that I know of that you can get it or be able to find it. So I hope that helps answer some questions. Then I forgot to mention here, and I'll make sure that it's here in the video, I have a hashtag that I started over on Instagram because I'd had so many people interested in this, and I'm calling it the Bouquet of Sunshine SAL. SAL in this case stands for share along, because I heard from many people who have already stitched it and fully finished it, or have maybe stitched it and it's in a drawer waiting to be fully finished, or it's a work in progress and it has been for years, or you want to get, collect the chart itself and kit it up and get started. So it's definitely a share along and not just a stitch along. So if you'd like to join that, we would love to have you use the hashtag so that we can all share along with you. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going through my brain, making sure, because like I said, have had a lot of questions about this and how to find it. So let's see. Let's show you my progress. How about that? So I am stitching mine on 28 count ALE Lugana from Picture This Plus. Here is my progress. Since it's 28 count, I am stitching 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And the main reason that I chose to stitch this on 28 count versus my most favorite 40 count is that this isn't a very big sampler overall, and I wanted it to be a bigger finish when I got done in order to, I think it's going to end up getting framed, and 40 count was just going to make it a little too small. Oh, I actually have that written down. So 40, it's 175 tall and 135 wide is all. 40 count, it would only be 8 3/4 inches tall, 6 3/4 inches wide, and I just wanted it to be a little bigger. So that's why I chose the count I did. And I think this fabric color is fantastic with the floss colors. So that's my progress. I think the last time I showed it to you, I had the entire outer border completed. So I've added a fair amount of alphabet and got a nice good start here on the sunflower. And I'm gonna go back to the chart picture here for a minute, because I had Trish contact me, and she found the magazine in a thrift shop and picked it up, but she's already stitched this and completed it, and she would like to share the magazine with someone that would like to have it. So if you would be interested in that, well, first of all, can we say thank you to Trish for offering this wonderful surprise, or, you know, help, I guess. And if you would be interested in this chart because you haven't been able to find it yet, either send me an email, which my email is down in the description box, or send me a direct message on Instagram, and which is at Penny's Daughter Shares, just like my Flosstube name, and I will get you and Trish into contact with each other so that you can get this copy of this. And then what I'll do is, it's whoever reaches out to me first, and then if that for some reason doesn't work out, then we'll go to the next person and work on it that way to get everyone connected who would like to try to get this. And thank you, Trish, for offering this up for someone that would like to stitch it. That's really, really sweet. As for my plan for when I plan to get this all done, I do not know. I definitely am going to finish the petals on the sunflower before I put it away, but I'm just not sure what kind of exactly my plans are, what I gonna feel like stitching on in the next short amount of time. And I don't, I would say I would like to have a finish by September-ish, but I don't know if I might get looking at some other projects and feel like stitching on those. So like I said, it's a share along, not a stitch along. There's no rules, no expectations, no timing on it at all. So whatever we all would like to share would be great. I would like to share a bit of happy mail that I've received since I last talked with you. And I just am blown away with the generosity of people, and just that their thoughts are of me when they see something or remember something. So up first, I got this cool kit for, it's a, let me say it right, the Penny Rug Purse Kit, which is a wool kit. This is from Alice, and she said she was going through her craft collection and saw this and thought of me and would like to send it to me if I would like it. And I have never done any wool applique, wool work, so I think it would be really fun to try it. And so I said, yes, thank you, and please and thank you, Alice. And she sent it to me. So this will be something fun for me to do at some point. But how cool is that, that she sees it, thinks of Penny's Daughter Shares, and would like to share it with me. So thank you, Alice. The next bit of happy mail I'm going to share is, seriously, I almost cried when I opened it, so I'm just going to show it to you. It is, and I wanted to show you, I don't know if there's a right or wrong side, I guess not. These beautiful bags from Jenni Stitching Simply. Thank you so much, Jenni. I know I already told you once, but I'm going to tell you again. And she sent these to me. So I'm a member of her monthly project bag club. And this she sent to me as a gift and told me, well, she sent me a really lovely card that she was gushing over me, and I have a hard time with that sometimes. I have a hard time accepting it. Does that make sense? I appreciate it so much and love it so much. And these are so my colors. This is I can't even talk. BasicGrey Boudoir line, which is one of my favorites of BasicGrey. And for anyone that's been around, you know I love, love, love BasicGrey fabrics. And so she made me the regular full-size project bag. Then she included a smaller, I'm going to call it my floss bag, because that's how I organize my projects. Is I have a project bag, and then I have a smaller little zip bag inside there that I keep my floss. And then she also made, I think it's technically supposed to be floss bling, but because I don't have my floss hanging from the cards, I don't use floss bling, so I added it to the zipper pull that she made with, you know, measuring tape twill. And so she made this cool little floss bling, or in my case, zipper pull. But it was just, and it just showed up one day. Like I said, I almost cried. It was so beautiful. I love it so, so, so much. Oh, and so if you like the look of her bags, which her bags are very beautifully made, make sure and go check out. I'm pretty sure she still has room available in her Bag of the Month Club. And you don't have to elect every single month. You can choose what months you would like to get it and sign up for only a certain number of months. You know, maybe you signed up right now and you chose 3 months and you wanted September, October, and December or something like that. And you can do that. It's very flexible, but they're just beautifully made. I love them. The other thing that she does is she has this little tag on the side where you can, and there's a little cardstock, you can write the name of your project on there. So awesome for us people that like to be organized and can't always remember what's in the project bag because we can't see the chart picture and you don't always remember based on the fabric of the project bag. So anyway, that leads into a kit I want to show you, because when I got this, then I was like, oh, I need a very special project to go in this very special project bag. So I think I've decided what project is going to go in here, and I haven't started it yet, but I have gotten it kitted up, and I showed it to you last time, but now I can show you the pieces that I got to put it together. And we'll start with the chart picture. It's from Modern Folk Embroidery, AKGIT 1833. It's a Virlanda sampler. And if you remember right, it's ginormous. And that's one of the reasons that I love it. I was going to give you the stitch count really quick if I can find it here again. There it is. It is 409 stitches wide and 418 long. So this is definitely a long-term project, but I'm very excited about it. And I had chosen my floss, which I now have this bag of floss, although I think I ordered a couple more that need to be in here to make sure that I want to make sure I have lots. My floss choice, black coffee from Classic Colorworks. Again, if you've been here before, you know my love of black coffee. But I just think Jacob explained that it's a very dark brown, almost black brown, that these Virlanda samplers tend to be stitched in. And I love black coffee, and if I'm making that many X's on something, I want to make sure I'm using a floss that I absolutely adore. So that's the reason for the choice. Then I needed to order fabric. Again, such a big thing. It needs to be fabric that I know that I absolutely adore. So I will go to my favorite, my go-to is 40 count, and xjudesign is, she's definitely very top of the list. I also love Needle and Flax, and there's several others that I know I'm not mentioning that I should remember. But if I was to go to anybody, that xjudesign would be my first, given that a color would be what I wanted that she has. And I had 2 colors that I liked from her for this particular project. Now, I want to show you, well, I'll tell you what happened. Okay, I had, and I'll hold it on a board, hopefully then you can see the color a little bit better. I had a fat quarter of rustic driftwood in my fabric library, and that's black coffee on that. And I don't know if it's showing up in the video very well, but it has little tiny bits of really dark in it, kind of like a natural or a flax linen, but then almost like it's over dyed over that. I hope I'm explaining that well. And I liked this color. I wasn't 100% certain that the black coffee would lay nicely with it and be bold enough, if that makes sense. So, but I really liked it. So my plan was that I would order a fat half of rustic driftwood. Well, I got that, and I don't want to, I'll hold, so both of these pieces are rustic driftwood, and this is what hand dyeing, there's always variation, and I want to make sure that's showing pretty true. There's quite a big difference, right? And I don't know, I'll try to lay this so you can see it on both fabrics at the same time. There we go. Now, the black coffee will stand out a whole lot more on this fat half of, which I need a fat half for this big project. So here's my black coffee with that one. So that looks really good, right? Well, I agree. Clearly. I just wanted to show you the difference between what, because these things are hand done and there's always variations. We all know that. And so I just thought I'd show you because I still love this color of fabric anyway. So back to my point. When I ordered the fat half from XJU, I couldn't order it only a fat half of fabric. It cannot travel by itself, especially not all the way from Hungary. So I ordered a second fat half. And let's see. So this is the other one. This one is brown paper. Well, let me tell you what. I'm pretty sure that I've decided that brown paper is my fabric choice for this great big beautiful sampler. And actually, as I just said that, great big beautiful sampler, I had a few people who asked me what a BAP was, a BAP, and I've heard it, there is an original name for it. I've heard it 2 other ways. I've heard big, amazing project, and I've heard big, awesome project. but for the A, you may insert expletive there to get the original BAP meaning. And so anyway, for my BAP, I think this piece of brown paper from xjudesign is going to be my choice. And you can see there's not a tremendous amount of difference between the two, but you can see a few bits of variegation or like modeling kind of things in the brown paper that you don't see with the rustic driftwood of that particular piece. And so I think I'm gonna go with this one. But I may change my mind because I may decide, well, I'll keep this for other things where the fabric will show more, because there's a lot of stitching here, right? You're not really gonna see a whole lot of variation in the color of the fabric once you get done stitching. So it's still a decision to be made. And then just to make sure that the fabrics didn't get lonely, I also got a couple pieces of, let's see, she calls it overdyed seam binding. And these are not my usual kind of colors, but I really liked them. And sometimes you got to have a little bit of variety in your collection when you go to fully finish things. So I think these are so beautiful. So there, they had a little party on their trip that way, and not someone traveling all by themselves and being lonely. So that is my happy mail and my almost fully kitted up Virlanda sampler. For those of you that have stuck it out this long, thanks for hanging out with me today. I want to talk about my plans, and they're very loose and easy, as I've already mentioned. I plan to stitch and I plan to do some FFOs, but what those exactly mean, I don't know at this current moment. I really wanted to get you caught up on where I was at, and I feel like a lot happened since I last made a Flosstube. I do know on my plans, one of the first things I want to do is I want to clean up and organize, put away some things in my craft room, which I had a lot of my Stitch Camp purchases and, you know, the kits we received and everything. I've had them sitting out because I didn't want to put them away because I knew I wanted to share them on a Flosstube. So now I can kind of work on putting them away, clear off my cutting table a whole lot more, and give me an open, clear space, open, clear mind to work on some more things. The other thing that is part of my plans is I am going to take a little bit of a social media break for myself. And I feel the need to focus on some of my health and some of my family obligations that I'm not neglecting. Well, my health I'm neglecting. The family I'm not neglecting, but I just need some time to focus on that. So what does this mean, you might be asking? Well, so my plan for Flosstube, I don't plan to make another Flosstube until at least the month of August, and I'm not even going to commit myself to the beginning of August. I want to see how things go, but because we're on summer break, I have some time with my kids. We can work on managing this construction in the house and hopefully getting it done and starting to put everything back together, clean out a few closets, just normal, ordinary stuff. And my health, I need to make myself exercise more, and I haven't made it a priority. That's the only way I can say it, and I need to make it a priority. And I think I need to I don't want to say punish, discipline myself to not spend as much time on Instagram and focus that time on making some exercise some more priority. So, like I said, Flosstube not until August again, and Instagram, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look, but you will not see me active on there as much. Here's what we'll say. If you comment to me and I only give you a heart back, or maybe I don't even respond at all, that's why. It's not because I'm ignoring anyone or not appreciative of any of your lovely compliments and feedback that you like to share with me, which I love so much. I will check my direct messages, and I will for sure check my emails, especially since I told you about the Bouquet of Sunshine chart. The general kind of social media activity is just going to be greatly reduced for me. So wish me luck on getting a couple of, just feel like getting priorities straight on a couple of things to focus on getting that exercise piece into my regular routine. Once I get it there and get it established, then I'll stick with it because that's how I operate. So that, and obviously spending some time with my family, and just that wraps up my plans and the entire video. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me, and I will talk to you soon.